Okay, so December the 12th, and we're about to start. So,
Now, just a question first. Who is Christy Pinkerton?
hey, Chrissy, do you want to introduce yourself?
When I arrived today,
Mm.
there was only Christy Pinkerton there. Oh, here she is.
Hi.
She's turned on her sound.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Giles. It's nice to meet you.
That doesn't sound like Peggy Brantley.
Yes. Welcome, Chrissy.
Thank
So,
you oh so much, everybody.
yeah, you're welcome. Most
Anna?
welcome.
Anna,
Yes.
today is December 7th.
It is, isn't it? Why I put 12, I have no idea. I will,
Well, it's
because
probably the 8th somewhere, so it's all relatives. So take it easy about the date. And they're getting a new time zone for the moon, and the head of NASA, when he was talking about getting time zones for the moon, he said, yeah, and in due course we'll have to get time zones for other planets as well. And our question is, do we break it into more than one, or give it just a single time zone? So when you're around the back, it's the same time as when you're around the front. And by the way, all planets should have their own time zones because they deserve it. And so he's speaking as though he knows about spirit
everybody,
and Gaia. Sorry, I'm getting a little off track, but that's what we talk about here.
Normally when things happen, things like this happen to me, I'm thinking about something and then whatever I write is something else. It happens with words. I take notes of what happened and later there is something, there was like a warning or something. So I'm taking notes. I will see what happened, what will happen in December the 12th. Oh, thank you, Claudia. So, okay, so as usual, we do start with our prayer. Do we have a volunteer today?
I can read the prayer.
Say that again, Hyacinth.
I can read the prayer.
Oh, read the prayer. I do not have one for you to read, so I can do it. Let me see if I can. Is that?
I have a nice prayer of gratitude. It's not
Please
protect
do that.
us from spirits, but of course it does. Okay, well I'll say it because I know it. It's
Yes.
First of all, dear Lord, thank you for your work. Dear Lord, thank you for a wonderful day and beautiful weather. Dear Lord, bless you and thank you for another day in this body. Dear Lord, bless you and thank you for all the goodies that surround us, the food in the fridge, the vehicle in the drive, the power working, and all the good stuff. Thank you so much. Bless you, dear Lord. Thank you for not drinking. I don't drink. I stopped drinking and I thank you for it. And please help me stop smoking again. And dear Lord, thank you for no pain and no fear. Bless you, Lord. Bless you, Lord, and thank you for those that love me and all the work they do. That's the end. I generally repeat. Oh, there's one more I must have lately begun to add, which is, bless you, my guide, and thank you for your work. I don't know who my guide is, but he's certainly working very well.
Thank you, Giles. And I do appreciate the prayer this afternoon. And I do thank as well for all the friends to be,
Hang on, baby.
and the families that we have around us, not only related to a bloodline, but also the family, the real
Hi, honey.
family we
I'm sorry, I
have,
gotta get you up. Hold on. Just for a minute, babe.
the real family that we have as we know it, the spiritual family. So we welcome the greater spirits, we welcome the spirits of light, our guides, wherever they are, doesn't matter, we don't need to know their names. We welcome all those spirits who, like us, want to learn more, want to study a little bit more and understand a little bit more this journey to perfection. Thank you, Lord, for everything, and so be it. All right. So, okay, so we are, we are in this book number 2, The Spirit World, and we are talking about incarnation of spirits at this point. We passed this, I need to update this slide anyway. But last time that we met, there was some questions about when actually in the journey of evolution we acquire reason, right? We acquire the ability to think in a rational way, or in another words, when exactly the instincts are not that dominant. So we know we evolve from mineral kingdom to vegetable kingdom, and then we go to animal kingdom. But where exactly reason comes to play, right? And what I confess I didn't have much time. This past 2 weeks have been amazingly busy to me, very, very busy. But I did have time to talk, to get some ideas, talk to some people. I talked to Leda, I talked to Maria, and evidently they know much more than me. Maria she has this, she is a library with 2 legs. And it's amazing. She knows a lot. And so we were talking, and I didn't have the time to put together any slides. So what the idea now is for us to read some material, some of the topics that we discussed, and then as we read, then questions will arrive, I'm sure, and then we'll discuss about. The idea is not really take a whole lot of time talking, because at the end of the day, all these books, all the references that we have and we can trust, they are not telling us exactly, precisely when and how. And and the really the answer is that why we do not have that information, we do not possess that information, is because we do not have the maturity, the moral maturity to know or to have that kind of knowledge. Can you imagine if we knew how to bring a body to life and to create life? We are not even responsible enough to have families, to have kids, sons and daughters. We are not truly responsible with them. Can you imagine if we could create a being and even more, make that being to actually react or act as a rational being? So we that's something that is yet to be known. But if I know anything from everything that I have studied, that knowledge we will know eventually, but only when we are mature enough. Everything that we will discuss today is really based on not only these books that I have over here, the Spirit's book, but also the Gospel According to Spiritism, In the Greater World, and this book over here. I'm afraid there is no translation to this book into English. The exile, hi Debbie, the exiles from Capella. Capella is a star. Long ago, we had those guys coming from this star system to Earth. But there is a version, Giles, you know Spanish. So there is a version in Spanish to that book. So it's a very interesting book to read. But yeah, so everything that we will discuss is based on those books, okay? So let me move this because I didn't have time to prepare slides. So, but I do have in a Word document that we can read. Do I have a volunteer, Gloria?
Yes, I've got my voice back. I've been traveling.
Awesome.
Yeah, I lost it recently. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
just a sec. This first section is based on the In the Greater World from Chico Xavier. This is exactly, and again, this, if it doesn't make sense to you, let me know, because I do not have the book in English, so I was translating. This is a free translation, okay? So yeah, so go ahead.
On the way to perfecting the brain's gears, the intelligent principle felt the need to communicate with others, and for this, language arose among animals under the patronage of the venerable geniuses who preside over our existence. Initially,
so you see, in this first paragraph, we are talking about intelligent principle, meaning we are not human yet. This is not a spirit that it is in a body, humanoid body yet. Okay, so it's just intelligent principle, like very beginning at the creation. So okay, go ahead.
so first arose language. Okay. Initially, I'm not familiar with that word. Phonemes?
Yeah, as you vocalize.
Oh, okay. And in mimicry were the indispensable processes for the exchange of impressions or for the defense service, such as, for example, the hissing of various reptiles, the croaking of
Batrachians, like the frogs.
frogs. Okay. I like the word frogs better.
Yes.
The sound manifestations of birds and the mimicry of some insects and vertebrates to suddenly change color, warning against danger. However, As its evolution progressed, this fragmentary and rudimental consciousness invested in the possession of our resources. The wolf cries out for his companions in the night shadow. The angry animal, the angry cat animal shows characteristic fury, meowing angrily. The horse neighs in a particular way, expressing joy or annoyance. The hen emits appropriate interjections to announce laying, accommodating the offspring, feeding the chicks, or begging help when scared. And the dog is almost human in its gestures of contentment and in their yelps of pain.
Okay, he's not saying that it is almost human-like. It's more like a license to say they live so close to us that they recognize a lot of our reactions, and they do interact with us very well. So, but it's not that they are close to humanity. Okay, go ahead.
Spiritual interventions. This is how, reaching the foundations of humanity, the spiritual body of infra-primitive man, primate species, evolves in a long process in the spatial regions, spiritual labs, clinics, hospitals, under the assistance of the instructors of the spirit, receiving subtle interventions in the phonation tools so that the articulated word could signal a new cycle of progress.
So you see what he's saying? He's saying that all those experiences that the intelligent principle lives as a horse, as a cat or whatever, they will not be lost. But as they gain more and more experience, or then they will let me get just a second. They will eventually be, let's say, promoted to a more evolved being, a more complex being, if you will. So at some point, that being will have so many other have so many experiences that it will become a time for that being to start the first experiences as primate. Okay, so but before then, that intelligent principle must have had, like, for example, the whales or the dolphins. They communicate, right, between each other. So they have this notion of family, of community. They have this notion of roles in their family, responsibilities, etc. So, and because of that, now they can start a new stage in their evolution. So that's what he's saying, that the spirits, the higher beings, they will work on this beginning, this new beginning of this new being, and these spirits, that's why I'm putting over here spirit with a capital letter, because this is a more evolved being. So they will do some interventions in the phonation tools and the brain of this new or brand new spirit. So whenever that guy incarnate as a primate, so this guy will be able to articulate a little bit more, articulate better communications, etc., etc. So, and keep in mind that when we say articulated word, We are not talking about repeating words like a bird, right? So, but actually performing this communication in their community. So between two individuals, within a family group, or in their society, where feelings are expressed, roles, responsibilities take place. Because at the end of the day, that it is the mechanism that will allow the intelligent principle to evolve not only intellectually, but also in a moral way. And when we say moral, it's not that the animal will have moral principles, but it is the feelings, they are the beginning of it. Does it make sense? So Gloria, would you please read this? Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Hyacinth has a question.
No.
Okay. We cannot hear you, Hyacinth.
When you talked about can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
No,
No? Still don't hear me?
you are in and out.
How about this? Is that better now?
Yes.
Okay. When you talked about bears and dolphins, don't hear me go around?
No,
No?
no.
I don't know what the situation is then.
Now I can hear you.
Now you hear me.
Yes.
Okay. There was no, who had no, still not.
No.
Okay, I'll talk later then.
Yes. Okay. So Gloria, please continue, and then let's see if Hyacinth can talk.
Articulated word doesn't mean only repeating, and that word again,
Yeah. Phonemes.
phoneme, but actually developing a communication form, language, as individuals living in communities is communication between two individuals. I would say, for example, communication between two
Yes.
individuals, communication within a family group, and communication in the society, where feelings are expressed, roles and responsibilities take place as well. This allows the intelligent principle, now an individualized spirit, to evolve not only intellectually, but most importantly, morally, as the emotions become more complex and moral principles awake consciousness, and with that, responsibilities, etc. And then where does that, oh, okay, that's with your asterisk up above. Primates are irrational beings.
Yes. So just what we whenever the André Luiz is talking about primates, not necessarily is a human being thinking, or is really the very first stages, and they're still irrational. Okay, go ahead, Gloria.
No, I was thinking in terms of people more so than animals. And it kind of threw me there for a minute where it said, I'm trying to find it.
Maybe above.
Morally, as the emotions become more complex. But the thing is, for me to want to communicate an emotion to you, I've got to feel it first. And so for me, I'm thinking, yeah, I can express for happiness or joy by my smile or my behavior. But if I were coming up with a word for, well, I guess we did express them with body language before we had a verbal language, because I'm thinking anger.
Right.
You can tell when somebody's angry. You can tell when somebody's sad. You can tell when somebody's happy. It's the word follows the feeling of the emotion. And then as the emotions become more complex, we'd want to be able to better define the emotion in language.
Do you agree that it's very hard to, it takes another level of evolution to actually or verbally express emotions?
Yes.
Right? Until today, it's so hard to express ourselves, to explain what's going on, right? So it takes a lot of time for us to actually think about it and understand how to communicate, how to express our feelings well. So,
and going back to the animals, I was thinking, well, when a cat's very content, it purrs. So it's communicating a noise that corresponds to its sense of well-being. Same thing with a dog. When it's frightened, you can tell from its bark. So it is there. Those are forms of, they're oral forms of communication, but it's very similar to before we had language. I'm sure we expressed anger or sadness or happiness, and animals do it in the same way. They just don't have, well, they don't have words as we communicate. We don't know that they aren't communicating in their own language, in their own way. Somebody recently gave me a book that was very fascinating. It was teaching Stella how to talk, and it was a speech pathologist who developed she worked with children who had trouble, who didn't have language skills. They couldn't talk, but these are intelligent, communicative individuals. And she developed a system with her clients where they could push a button for please, push a button for hungry, push a button. And she taught her dog to do that. And her dog has a vocabulary of 48 or 50 words and is actually putting them together in sentences. The dog's name is Stella. And it's a fascinating book. And so she has taught the dog to communicate in our language with her system that she uses on children who aren't verbal, with children who aren't verbal.
amazing.
And so it makes me aware that animals can communicate with us in our language if we take the time and effort to teach them, just as we teach a nonverbal child with a tablet or with these button boards that she created to represent words. And the dog learns one word at a time and can communicate with her. Like it's, take me to the park. Or I'm hungry.
Yeah. It is amazing. And from the conversation with Maria, she said something that relates to what you're saying. She mentioned something that she said, have you noticed that as we evolve, everything else around us evolves the same way? So remember in the past, the dogs, they used to stay outside. And then we brought the dogs or the pets, cats, to inside of the house. So now the pets, they're learning more and more from us. So they observe us, they learn from us. So that's how, actually, that's just one of the examples of how we perform the role of co-creators, because we also help with those guys. We also help with those guys evolution that way. So that dog, next time we'll have condition to express more and more and learn more and more, observe more and more. So that's how we participate. We contribute with the evolution of everybody else. I mean, everybody, the animals too. So Yeah, but it is amazing. Now, as far as expressing their feelings, it's very simple, right? Take me to the park, or I'm hungry. But it is very simple way, right, to communicate, and not complex. It's not talking about the feelings, etc., etc. But it is the beginning. I mean, it is a start, a good start, I would say. So, Hyacinth, you have something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Better? Gloria, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There was a woman who said she took her handicapped son to the place where they had the dolphins.
Yes.
And when in the night at home, she heard her son talking to himself. So she went to see what was happening. And he was getting up, saying, "Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it," as he tried to walk. And his mother said, "What is it?" He said, "That's what the dolphins told me today." So whatever it was, the dolphin communicated to him
Yeah,
the
communication.
language he understood.
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
was so surprised and happy to hear that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But there is more to come over here. So, so this is what we can see, and there is more in this chapter. If I'm not mistaken, this is the chapter number 10 in that book, In a Greater World, from Chico Xavier and André Luiz. And remember, at some point, we had this little, what I'm calling the map of creation. It's just, by no means, this is not the truth, but it's just, for the sake of us understanding and trying to put something together, some thoughts together. So there are two things, or two elements in the whole creation. So we have God. So the Trinity is God, the smart element, and the material element. So God created these two, material, smart element. Eventually, the smart element will evolve to spirit, right? So the smart element will live several experiences in all kingdoms, as mineral, vegetable, animal, etc. And then one day will become a spirit. So the material element is the very basic, let's call, for the lack of word, part of a mother part that eventually will perform universal cosmic fluid, and with the universal cosmic fluid you can create whatever, everything else, and including the perispirit. So, and one day this guy's spirit, whenever it's time for that spirit to live an animal experience or more evolved experience, then that spirit will intellectualize the matter. By intellectualize the matter, we mean, so everything that spirit will learn, it will be like printed in that perispirit. So we will never lose our experience, our our sensations, our impressions, our memory, it will be recorded somehow. So we will take with us, right? So just something for us to keep in mind. So two elements, basic elements, and eventually, and this material element is created only for the purpose of helping us in our evolution path. So I will zoom in again. And those are some of the points that, as I was talking to Maria, then we were putting something together. Okay, so you can stop as we have questions. So Gloria, my official reader.
There is a trinity in the universe: God, spirit, matter. The intelligent principle develops until it reaches the status of spirit. The universal vital fluid worked by the intelligent principle and the spirit materializes and intellectualizes.
So is everything good until now? So from principle, intelligent principle, we evolve to a spirit. The more this intelligent principle is evolved, the more ability that intelligent principle will have over matter. And that intelligent principle now we call spirit can manipulate, can actually work on this universal vital fluid in partnership with greater spirits. Okay, so Maria, I know you have your hand raised, but let me allow Gloria to continue so we keep the train of thoughts here. So okay, Gloria, please.
In the development of the intelligent principle, we pass through the mineral, vegetable, animal, and human kingdoms. There is no definitive line of demarcation between one kingdom and another, since there are species that contain characteristics of more than one kingdom. For example, there are beings with mineral and vegetable characteristics, as well as beings that show characteristics of vegetable and animal kingdom.
And guys, as a matter of fact, we as human, we show evidence of the three of them. So remember that this gland that, by the way, is responsible for mediumship, the pineal gland, has crystals in it. So it is an evidence of the mineral kingdom. And we have also other evidences in our body that one day we were part of the, we had experiences as in the vegetable kingdom. Okay, go ahead.
Likewise, there are animals with very well-developed feelings, as well as very expressive intelligence, with a deep notion of motherhood, fatherhood, family, and responsibility for social groups. Among these animals on Earth today, with these qualities, we find whales, dolphins, and monkeys.
See the dolphins from Hyacinth story? Yeah.
One of the most important changes of the intelligent principles is its individuation in the animal kingdom, preparing it to enter the hominid kingdom.
I do not know if the word individuation exists. But is it that it doesn't?
I use that word all the time. My children, as like when they graduate from high school or graduate from college, they're individuating from me. They're becoming separate entities instead. They're establishing their independence is how I use it.
Okay, so now you
hold it. Maria has a question. She's been waiting quite a while.
No, yeah, I talked to her, so she's waiting. Yeah. Okay, so you understand that at the beginning we are just, or the intelligent principle it is a promise, but not a spirit yet, right? So eventually you become a spirit, but there is first, we need this individuation, this stage where that intelligent principle becomes an individual, if you will. Okay, go ahead, Gloria, please.
I'm thinking, we talk about how, yeah, go ahead. We talk about how we've been socialized to believe we're separate, and we're not. We're part of one big body of humanity. And I think yes, individuation is what's going on, but I think we've misinterpreted it in our society as separation. And I don't think that's what it is. I think they're
No, yeah, it's just you recognizing, or the being recognizing itself as its own, as an individual, and as such, I don't have to live the same experiences like you. I have my own way of learning. It's like my digital, right? So it's unique to myself, my fingerprint, actually. It is unique to myself. Doesn't need to be the same as yours, but because I have a unique fingerprint, doesn't mean that I am separated from you, or I belong to a different family. It just means that I have my own way to learn and to live and to evolve.
Okay, continuing. This spiritual individuation is already a phase that precedes the acquisition of experience as a spirit, a being of creation that will evolve until reaching perfection. Upon entering the hominid kingdom, the spiritual individuation that exists in the animal stage, and which we can now call spirit, begins its incarnation in more primitive human bodies, the primates. The great achievement of the spirit in experience as men is the acquisition of continuous thought and the use of free will.
So you see, until now, as primates, we do have quite a few notions. We do have feelings. We express with the body language and with a very rudimental language, if you will. But because we do not have continuous thoughts, then you cannot say, okay, so that primate is rational, is still irrational, and that'll be more. Go ahead.
In the first incarnations as primates, the spirit still needs the support of the co-creators to help them continue to achieve continuous thought and use free will.
Guess who the co-creators will be, guys?
Us?
Including
Yeah.
the higher beings, but we also help, like, the lady with the dog with her pet, right? Christy has her pets in it.
Right.
So we do help the animals. We do help everybody else the same way as we receive help, right? So yeah, good. Okay, go ahead.
In their first experiences of death after existence as humans, these brand new spirits that came from the animal kingdom need the help of spiritual friends to maintain their individuality as spirits on the spiritual plane, since they are in the initial phase of acquiring continuous thought.
Okay, let's stop for a minute here. So can you imagine what that is? So let's say in those first incarnations, then that being is so fresh and is so close to animal instincts, is still predominant, that the thing is, as soon as that being is back to a spiritual plane, it does need the help of the spirituality of the other beings, the higher beings, so that guy will be kept and maintained as an individual, will be taking care of the next incarnation and how to prepare that being for the next experience. Because that being, once it's back to the spiritual plane, will not understand anything. Think about it. Even us, sometimes when we do transition to the other side, we don't understand. Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times that happens, you know, the spirit will live like if it was still alive. Will try to eat, will be thirsty, will be hungry, will be mad, or will not understand that condition. Will not be able to hold a cup, or will cross walls and will not understand. So sometimes, so that happened to us. Now put a very primitive being in that situation, so it's hard. So that guy will need the help of others, of the senior guys, to keep the individuality, to keep that guy in good shape. So in order to prepare this new being to the next life. Does it make sense?
So another word for continuous might be eternal or immortal or
Continuous is like a train of thoughts making sense. It's not just, I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm gonna look for water. But okay, I'm thirsty. I'm gonna look for water, but I don't have water. What do I need to do to get that water? Okay, I need this and that too. I know what it is, and then I remember where I saw a lake, etc., etc. So it is that train of thoughts making sense for that being to resolve problems.
Thank you. That's helpful. I was confused by the word continuous. Now I know. Thank you. That helps a lot. So
I do not know if there is a better. So you help me if there is a better.
Well, what you just said,
terminology.
in other words, it's being able to think in steps, being able to think, like you said,
Exactly.
a train of thought. A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D.
Yes.
Yes, it's a very interesting question, Gloria, because when we die, we recognize ourselves like us was in the earth.
Like we were living in the
Yes, were. Okay, thank you. Then in the spiritual plane, you will be Gloria, and I will be Maria. And this continuous thought means that you have the capacity on your thoughts to maintain your personality. You can't remember our past lives, but if you have time in the spiritual plane, you can remember all things you have did in the past.
have done in the past, yeah.
Have done in the past. Then continuous thought means that you are indivíduo especial no universo. How I can say it, Ana?
You recognize yourself as a special and unique being in the universe within the creation.
By
so
eternity. By eternity.
For eternity, yes.
Yes.
So it is what Maria said. It is keeping or acknowledging your personality even after death. So you recognize you as Gloria, despite the fact that you transition to the spiritual plane. Now, a primitive guy or the first incarnations, that guy will not have that capacity to recognize him or herself as an individual
Yes.
yet.
So, if you have a 10 lives waiting for you, or more than this, with another names, another bodies, another countries, doesn't mean you continue thought thinking new with one universal individual.
So Maria, you're saying if you had the past lives like 10.
If I
Try to say it in Portuguese.
lives, if I have many lives waiting for me in the future, many lives in the future.
Yes, I see.
Does not matter.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because I'm be able to recognize me with eternal individual.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
That means to be continuous thought.
Yes. So Gloria, what she's saying is, one thing is your personality as Gloria. That's who you are right now in this lifetime. Tomorrow you might be Mr. Smith, but your essence as an individual, with all acquisition, with all achievements, with everything that you learned, will go on with you, and you will know that. You will acknowledge that. So that's the continuity that Maria is talking about.
So another word might be cumulative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, but at the very beginning, we do not have that ability to build up this knowledge and hold on to it. So, and if I can add a little bit more, the reason why we need help is because in that stage, we are extremely vulnerable.
In what stage?
In a stage that one can be used for other purpose, not so positive purpose, and be guided or misguided.
Okay.
Okay. So that's another reason for elderly brothers or the veteran brothers helping, the co-creators, helping us to maintain us, as this individual and prepare our next experience, so to make sure that we'll be successful. Hi, Cynthia, you have something else? You are on mute.
Yes, because I understood that we kept our personalities. We recognize ourselves when we cross over, and we give an account of our stewardship, and we see all the good and the bad that we have done.
Yes.
And so that's a sort of clear that away so that when we start on another incarnation as whatever, and you know, it's never the same, that we are born with it, but we forget as we go along. Obviously, some people do not forget, but
Yes.
so I'm just wondering, animals then progress from being an animal to a primate, to a person? Because this would be like the Hindus, that you were an ant and a frog and so on, and you progress. But it's a little bit not quite. It's new thinking for me that this is the situation. So I'm just wondering.
Okay. So, but
Because,
can you?
I mean, as I said, that we have all been kings and queens and princesses, and murderers and dictators, and
Right.
because we are experiencing.
Yes.
And each incarnation is a new experience.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But little by little, all these experiences, they build up in our, so we keep what is good to keep in order to help us with our evolution, with our development, right? And whatever it is, part of our personality. So, for example, as a queen, I will have habits that evidently will not fit in the next lifetime, right? So, those they are left behind, or sometimes they will show up a little bit, but eventually it will phase out, or it will fade away as we get more and more engaged in this new lifetime. Okay, so Gloria, I don't remember where you stopped.
In their first incarnational experiences as men, these spirits are still in a primitive state. They use instincts more than reason, needing to develop all the natural characteristics and abilities of an already more advanced spirit. In this phase of experience, greater spirituality brings together spirits exiled from other orbs, but still primitive and linked to evil, to help promote the progress of those who are in their first original experiences. Regardless of
So this is talking about those guys that insist in bad habits, you know, causing pain to others, etc., despite of, you know, all the attempts to for that person to develop a better being, to become a better being, right? So eventually the transition, you know, and within whenever it's time for that planet to transition to another level, then that guy will naturally be directed to another world, more suitable for his or hers personality, his or hers, you know, moral principles and maturity, right? So that's why this paragraph, that's what this paragraph is talking about, that, you know, eventually, like one day, the Egyptians, they were brought from another planet, and then they came over here. Evidently, it was very evident that they were a very evolved civilization. But it was like an experience. They needed that experience to acquire more moral principles. And once they did, they went back to their home. So there was no more reason for them to stay here in this planet. So that's what that is about. But in the meantime, they did help the civilization of that time to evolve. Again, as co-creators, they were helping us, or the beings in the planet, living their first incarnations, let's say, in the planet. They helped those folks, you know, to evolve, and then they were back. Okay, go ahead.
Regardless of the stage of development of the spirit, it already carries within itself the germ of perfection that the Creator inserted into it, and will go through all the necessary experiences until reaching the stage of pure spirits. The great moral and spiritual learning when analyzing this topic is to realize that since the beginning of creation, God provides the intelligent principle, spirit, with all the resources necessary for its development and improvement. When we reach the stage where we reincarnate as spirits on the physical plane, we already have several acquisitions to put us on the path of good and individual growth.
Yeah, that's the conclusion of everything. So at the end of the day, that's the main purpose for everything.
So we have within us the seed of perfection. We just got to keep growing our seed.
Yes. and trying to awaken that part that is still sleeping, right? So I guess Maria, so do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I have 2 points. The first one is when we beginning to learn this document, and I want to know if does everyone understand what intellectualizing matter means? Everyone.
Intellectual.
What intellectualizing matter means?
Yes.
Doesn't have doubts about it, okay?
So she's asking if there is any question as far as what intellectualized matter mean. Does anybody have any question on that?
I could talk about, say there was a question because when you observe something at the micronuclear level, it changes what happens. And that defies any logical explanation for the moment. So therefore, consciousness is the only possibility to be involved somehow.
Yeah, and exactly. So that's what it is. That's what it is. Intellectualized matter means the consciousness or the spirit actually acting on the matter.
Yes, and nowadays the artificial intelligence is the best example of this. All right, we are intellectualizing the matter. All right.
Sort of, yes, but yeah. So still, yeah. It is a good analogy. Yes.
Yes. And another thing that's only a curiosity, an interesting fact is that the governance of the earth, which had been under the coordination of the exiled people.
Exiled people, yeah.
Yes, was handed over to the most enveloped Aboriginal spirits in the 13th century. I don't know if you know this. That was when we entered the Middle Ages. It means that when the Aborigines or the spirits that beginning your experience here in the earth have had promoted to coordination of the earth, we entered in the Middle Ages. I don't know how I can say it in English, but it's like we are going in a level with the exile coordinations, and when Aborigines do this, we go down in our society. Then, after many centuries, we grow up again. You understand?
Okay, so Giles picked it up. Did everybody understood what she said? She was talking about at the very beginning, we had, let's say, the oversight of higher beings, you know, what in the creation, at the beginning of the creation of this civilization. Okay, so we're not talking about past civilization like 25,000 years ago. No, not this, but this. So at the beginning of this civilization, so we had the supervision of, or the oversight of a different level of spirits. So whenever within in the 13th centuries, then that supervision transitioned from those beings to what she's calling aborigines. Aborigines, she meant, what she meant by that is the spirits that actually have had their experience or first experiences as human here on this very planet. So meaning we transition from a very experienced, you know, SMEs, like subject matter expertise guys, spirit guidance, to the trainees to the trainees. So, and then when that happened, so we did dive into the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. But that was evidently, as nothing is forever. So eventually we found our way out of that situation. Evidently, with the help of the spirituality, of course. But we found our way out of those dark ages. And now we have more experienced spirits helping with the development of the planet. So there are a lot of things to say about that. So for example, one of the things that Maria mentioned to me earlier was, okay, so at the beginning of the planet, what kind of spirituality we had surrounding the planet. And evidently, as the beginning, we did not have a whole lot of experienced spirits here. So what we had back then was like camps or labs or spiritual building, if you will, spiritual cities, astral cities, but like any other, how can I say, country or area experiencing the pioneers coming at the very beginning. So back then we had astral cities done by those spirits, and eventually those astral cities, they became more and more evolved or more complex because the humanity or the civilization here on Earth was evolving, right? So it was like there was this exchange between the two worlds, the two dimensions. All right. So any other comment or questions?
In the reading, when they said orb, do they mean planets or just other?
Yes. Orb,
Okay.
orb is like the planet and everything surrounding the planet, like a physical and spiritual dimension too.
Mhm.
Yeah. All righty, folks. So it's 4:14 here in Houston. I was not expecting this topic to take this long, but it is fascinating. So I do, if you had a chance to read the book from Chico Xavier in the Greater World, it is a very interesting book. Giles, if you have the chance to read this book, Los Desterrados de Capella, my Spanish. So please do it. It's a small book, not too long. One is I think is 100 pages, something like this. But amazing books, and yeah. And then if you have more questions, let me know. What is the name of the book? Okay, Los Desterrados de Capella, cabrón. So let me let me share here with you again this books.
Yeah, and thank you for this, Anna. It's very intellectually stimulating. You've got me thinking about new things now. I appreciate it.
Oh, and that's another point too. It is the fact that why it is important for us to know that. Evidently, we will not know exactly when reason come to should to play, right? There is no telling in that. There is no, so far all the books and that we have investigated or studied, they don't mention anything, and it of course is for a good purpose. No serious spirit will ever mention how life can be created. But the good thing is, it's nice to think about this, because the more we think, the better we understand our role in the whole creation. And we understand as well that we do have responsibilities here as co-creators. We do have responsibility, like we should not, okay, so in the past we were using the animal kingdom to feed ourselves, because we were trying to survive. But now we understand that we are their tutors. We are supposed to be their tutors and not their hunters. We are supposed to be their caregiving and not mistreating them. We were supposed to be helping the nature in all instances, the forests, the animals, the oceans, the rivers, everything else, and not actually destroying them or extracting all the goodies and not giving back. So, because evidently, one day we will hold responsibilities, and we will respond for those mistreatments, right? We That's the law of cause and consequence, right? So whatever we do, we will respond one day for all the things that we do. So that's why it's so nice for us to think about this, because the more we understand this topic, the more we understand, guys, we are here for a reason. Yes, it is for us to learn, to evolve, but we help others to evolve too. And for that, we do have a great, great responsibility, to help the animals in our houses or the animals outside. But we are still learning how to treat the other human being well. We'll get there, guys. Be positive. Hyacinth, please.
Yes. I put him in the book about the Testimony of Light by Helen Greaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
thank
and she and her partner, Francis Banks, worked at the Department of Parapsychologist Research in London
in London.
for
Yes.
many years, and they communicated by telepathy. And when Francis died, they had to be tracked back and tell them how it was.
I think when you get closer, I think your cloth is
That
kind
better?
of,
Is that
yes.
better? Yes. And so, and she was able to reach, and what she said was, I have been given permission to try to reach you. That for me was number one. And she told about all that happened. She was at her funeral, she saw everything. She said, it was so nice to hear people saying such nice things about me.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so it went on, and she woke up, she said, in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But the hospital had no walls.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother superior, she had been a nun, but had left the convent and was teaching. And so the mother superior was sitting beside her and said, welcome, my child. I said, have I crossed? Yes. Now sleep. And I thought, what do babies do when they are born? They sleep. Giles has heard me on this already. They sleep. And so she recognized that wasn't the new situation she found. And one thing she said, I have to be careful and watch my thought, because as I think it, it happens.
It happens.
And that's not what I want.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And remember, talking about this association with between what you think and what actually happens. When you think, you do not think alone. When you think, is like you connecting to this net of other people's thinking the same way as you do. So be very careful with the quality of your thoughts, because when you think, you may think like, okay, it's just me. No, it's not just you. You immediately plug into or connect yourself into this giant net, thinking alike the same way you do. So that's why prayers are so powerful, but also bad thoughts are powerful too. So we create reality, like Giles was saying, we can create reality, and it will be whatever our thoughts will connect to us. And we will not be alone. Remember, we are co-creators. We achieve way more when we do things together, but in this case, it is we do not have the choice, but our thoughts will immediately connect to this very same network that think alike us. So, and it could be a very good thing, or it could be very detrimental to us, depending on the quality of our thoughts. Yes, intention, thoughts, words, exactly. Indeed, exactly. So, when I remember when Chico mentioned something about this, that he was educating his words, and then he was educating his thoughts. And at some point, he realized that actually before the thoughts, he had to educate his feelings. Because the feeling becomes a thought and then becomes a word. So that's how it is. Guys, 4:24 in Houston. I'll see you next Saturday, okay? Maria, thank you so much. You were amazing. You have such a huge knowledge about everything.
Yes, thank you. Same time as tonight.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, you all.
Thank
Bye.
Okay,
you.
thanks, right. Gloria, there's 1 minute to Gloria. You remember Anna Capasso? She was on